Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where real people share timeless ideas. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and in every episode we dive into the philosophies, quotes, points, and life lessons that shape how we live, think, and grow. No matter where you are in life, this show is here to remind you wisdom is everywhere, and it's always relatable most of the times.
Absolutely.
Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Brandon Barnum. I run HOA.com, which is a platform for homeowners here in the U.S.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brandon, for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's the quote you want to share with me today?
Well, it's to ASK to GET. It's all about asking for what you want in life. And the reality is that you can have everything you want in life if you'll just ask.
You can have everything you want. Where is this? What are the experiences you've had that contextualize this quote for you?
Well, that was taught to me by my mentor, Victor Hansen. He wrote those Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And he has a book called Ask. In fact, there you go. When we talk about asking, the bridge from your dream to your destiny. So that's his latest book. And when I first met Mark, I had hired him to come speak in an event that I was doing for a Christian charity. And he challenged the audience to get clear on what they wanted in life and to write at least 101 goals. And so that's what I did. The next week, my wife and I went to Hawaii, and I spent time on the beach, and I wrote 338 goals.
You went 3 times.
Just asked. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these days, I still have all my goals written out for through the year 2050. So the next 25 years, all the things I want to accomplish, achieve, experiences, places I want to go. And what happens is, as you get clear on what it is that you want, I think it's asking God, but you can ask God, you can ask others, and even ask yourself. But when you get clear on what it is that you want and you ask for help from others, a lot of people don't feel comfortable asking for help. But when you share what it is that you're out to achieve and to create, then magic happens. And that was my experience.
Wow.
So many of those goals, about 100 of those goals happened in the first 12 months.
In a short while, we'll get to the goals and, how everything played out. But I just noticed one thing, that in order to ask, right, you first need to ask yourself, what do I want?
That's right.
Before you then say, okay, yeah, I'm going to ask for the job offer, I'm going to ask for a raise. The first question you need to ask yourself, do I need a raise, right? Because, the thing with a raise is that your responsibility increases and all those things. And so it's a question of spending time and saying, okay, what do I want?
That's it.
Wow.
Exactly right. And that's what I did on the beach. I mean, honestly, I was asking God, okay, Lord, what do you have me here for? What is my purpose? What is my reason for being here? And I think that's an important question that everybody should be asking.
Yeah.
From that, I got the download. I felt like my purpose for being was to increase global philanthropy, to make a difference in the lives of others, and to inspire, empower, and transform every person on the planet. That's God's goal, and I just play my little part in it, and it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. But you're right. You got to ask yourself first and get clear on what you want, and that's the power.
Yeah. I was watching a short, clip video, and it was from a teacher who one of the topics she taught the students was an English teacher. She taught them descriptive writing, and the young kids, right? She took all their classwork that they've done, and the task was to describe how to make a sandwich, right? And so based on their response, she would look at their sheet in front of them. She would take those the materials, and she would follow everything they've said on it from step 1 to step 2. And all the kids, they were laughing at themselves because their instructions was just terrible. Some of them would say, take a sandwich, take a bread, and put it together. And she did exactly that. She put everything together. And I was like, so many times because we're not even clear on what we want, what we ask for,
Right.
it's when we step out of the position of, okay, we are the one asking, and look at it from an objective perspective, we realize that we're just asking, how do I say it? Our request is just, what's the word now? It's just confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating now with ChatGPT and AI because it's an ask engine. You can ask anything, and now you've got to get crystal clear on exactly what you're asking. And it's kind of like the Aladdin's lamp, right? If you could have a lamp and you could
Wow, you
ask
can't
for
make this
anything
stuff
you
up.
want,
Are you sure there's no genie
I
inside
know,
there?
right? There you, no, we're good. We're good.
Wow.
The only genie I use is Jesus. Jesus is my genie.
Okay.
Here's who I go ask for. But when you think about on Aladdin's lamp, right? All the stories about genies, it's so important that you're crystal clear on what you ask for, because if you're not clear, you're going to get something that's different from what's in your head. And that's why it's so important to be clear when we ask or when we type in a request of AI. You've got to get crystal clear on what you want.
Well, the story of the genie is one that, it's a very significant story, because now that I'm looking at it from this perspective, it just occurred to me that one of the things that all the people who use those wishes, the mistakes they make, is they ask, right? They're so focused on, oh, I'm going to ask this person to give me a job, right? Is the wish, right? They forget about what's the
Yeah.
sacrifice that I would require in order to get
Mm-hmm.
this. Because most people, they wish for certain things, and those wish come back to bite them, right? which
Right.
which is surprising. But when you look at it, most of the times the things we're asking for, the sacrifice that we need to make, they're not exactly. It's not fair. It's not. It doesn't make sense, right? It's like if I ask you to pay, what's a very basic product now? Let's say salt, right? A basic salt, cooking salt, and I say pay me $1 million for it. And I mean, salt is important, for cooking and eating and all that. But $1 million for just not, it's not like a metric ton of salt, just this small quantity of salt that you put in your meal. You're like, no, I'm going to eat the food like that. Don't worry, I don't need your salt, right? And it's the same thing for
Yeah.
most of the things that people are asking for. When they realize what it would actually take for them, right, to get that thing, the things they will sacrifice, right? They realize that those things are so important. They are much more important than this goal they actually think they need. And so then, nah, it's not a big deal. Scrap it.
Hmm. Yeah, you're so right. It's so important that you're crystal clear on exactly what you're asking for, and you have to make sure that what you're doing and the way you're saying it too is going to land for the other person.
Yeah.
I like to teach the art of the ask. I teach how business people how to get more referrals.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't feel comfortable or confident asking for referrals. And so what we do is we shift how they view it, because normally when they're asking for referrals, they're really asking for themselves. And if they'll shift from selling to serving
Mm.
and do it in a way that really serves the other person, it changes the outcome tremendously. We teach the art of the ask. Number one, you set the stage when you first have a client that hires you. What you want to do is say, before they leave that first meeting, can I ask you a favor? I so love giving people like you a 5-star experience. Would it be okay once I've really delivered a 5-star experience for you? Would it be okay if I ask you for referrals? Everyone says yes to that, because you're really saying, I'm going to serve you. And when I serve you well, I want to earn the right to ask you for referrals. And so you're asking at a later date, but you're really saying, I'm going to do a great job for you.
Yeah.
And now that you've set that stage, now you're listening for the referral triggers, which is basically an expression of appreciation. Wow, you've done such a great job. Thank you so much. And when you hear that, that's when it's time to ASK to GET, because that person's in a peak referral state. And once they say thank you, you say, I'm so glad to hear that. Remember when we first started working together, I told you I was going to really wow you with the service that we provide. And now that you've experienced that, I'm looking to take on a couple more clients. So do you know any, and depending on your industry, you customize that ask to that individual. And when you do that, what you find is that people are happy to give you referrals because you're serving, not selling.
Wow. Earlier on, you mentioned ChatGPT, and
Mm-hmm.
and now you talked about people. I feel like ChatGPT, it's not even a human, right? I mean, I like to say, yeah,
Right.
it's a software, right? And
It
yet,
is.
people day in and day out, people need to muster the courage to ask ChatGPT. Because I see a lot of persons, they know of ChatGPT, they know what ChatGPT can do, and they have a very slight, minor something like, oh, should I do this or should I do this, right? And I'm like, why didn't you ask ChatGPT? And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, why? Because I feel like it takes courage to ask.
Yeah, it does. It does. Oftentimes we're not sure what to do. I learn to practice. I mean, I pray, I ask God for guidance, and sometimes I don't always hear him. In fact, yesterday I was just telling somebody, I'm like, okay, Lord, I need you to talk a little bit louder because I'm not quite sure what you're saying, right? But ultimately, we've got to ask God, we've got to ask our guides and get clear on what it is that we're asking for. And the more clear you are, the more that it's going to come to you.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Wow. Ask and you get. I'm trying. How did you rephrase the quote? You get what you want if you ask. Right? Is that it?
Yeah, yeah. And there's a quote there's a great quote that I love that says, "You can have everything you want in the world if you help enough other people get what they want." That's Zig Ziglar. But yeah, asking is so important, and it's something that everybody needs to practice and do a better job of.
Yeah.
I think it's important to ask your spouse, your partner, right? How are you feeling, and what can I do to really improve our relationship? Is there anything that I can do to better serve you and help you have a better experience in this relationship?
Yeah.
And so many people don't really take the time to check in with their partner, even their kids, right? So asking is really important.
Yeah. A lot of the times, even now, when people hear ask, the first thing they think about is, oh, but who am I asking, right? I feel ultimately, even
Mm.
from the referral example you just gave, it's a question of coming back and asking yourself questions and also asking people questions. I'll give an example, right? For the referral and getting 5-star, and like a situation could be you ask and you actually ask them, what would I do? What kind of service would I deliver that would make you, without any friction, talk about my products and whatever the term is, refer me and all that. And people will tell you that, oh yeah, I mean, if you could do this, that would be like that would be that would be crazy, but and you get to know, because most of the time we're like, oh, they should give me. I feel like because I did a job and I took their money, they should give me a 5-star review. And I'm like, no, right? So just getting to
Yeah.
ask and say, okay, what would I do for them that would make them give me 5-star, right? It's no longer
Well, you know what I teach again at the beginning is not only ask for referrals, but would it be okay once I prove myself to you if I can ask you for a review and referrals? And I think if you and combine those two is really powerful. The other thing I teach people to do is check in with their clients. I'm really committed to delivering a 5-star experience to you, but I just want to check in and see how we're doing on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate the job that I'm doing, the service I'm providing right now? And if it's anything less than a 10, you follow up and say, what would make it a 10? Right? What can I do to go above and beyond so that you're really thrilled with the service that we provide? And you want to tell everybody in the world around us. And part of that is communicating what you want, right? Like you said earlier, being clear on what you want first and foremost, and then sharing it with others by saying, I'm committed to delivering 5-star experience. You're putting that in their mind, right? You're like, oh yeah, this company, this person is committed to going above and beyond and giving me a great experience. So then when you do ask for a rating or a review, most likely you're going to get a 5-star review.
From the framework, right? You said set the stage. I think 3 framework, the art of the ask. Set the stage. The second is
listen for the referral triggers.
Listen for the
right?
referral triggers.
Which is thank you so much.
Okay, and then the third one is
ASK
ask.
to GET. Yeah.
Ask.
And the thing is, you're asking at the right time in the right way. They've already agreed that once you prove yourself, they're happy to give you a referral or at least to be asked to give you a referral. So you've got their agreement early on. And what happens sometimes is they're going to give you a referral early on. They're going to say, now that you mention it, I've got a brother, a sister, a cousin, a client, a coworker that could use your services right now. So let me go ahead and make that introduction. So sometimes you'll get the referrals early on, but you're really earning the right to ask them once you've proven yourself to them.
Why does everything you're saying, why does it sound like we're talking about life, even though it's at first I thought I was the one just trying to like, connect everything to, because it's a self-improvement podcast, I'm trying to connect the business to everything. And I'm like, no, this is not me trying to connect. This is it. Because now what you just said, you said two things, like you need to know when to ask and how to ask, right? I'll give an example because the thing that was just playing through my head is if you have your company, for example, now, and let's say I have what service I do have for, maybe I'm a graphic designer, right? And I'm like, I reach out to you and I'm like, yeah, Brandon, I love what your company does. I could design some graphics for you. Would you be open to, hiring me? And for some reason, there is no vacancy in your company. There's someone taking care of your graphics and all those things. And you're like, oh no, and then you tell me no, right? Because the time I asked is not.
Right.
But when I reach out to you and I'm like, oh yeah, I noticed that you just laid off your graphic design. I don't know, some whatever happens, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm in the market looking for a graphic designer. You say that's a perfect time. Another thing is a lot of persons they ask, but they ask terribly, right? Sometimes like they ask
Yeah.
terribly.
I call it pitch slapping. I don't know about you, but every day in LinkedIn messages, I get these people reaching out to me. I've never met them. And the first thing they're doing is asking for me to hire them. Now, I call it pitch slapping. I'm like, you got commission breath and it stinks, man. You don't need to know anything about me. Right. And right away, first thing you're doing is, hey, can I sell you something? And I'm like, no, I don't even respond. I just ignore
Yeah.
them. Now, the reason we teach referrals is in the business to business world, if you're selling to a business owner, 84% of B2B sales start with a referral because of the trust transfer. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I rarely hire somebody that hasn't been personally referred and endorsed to me. I want somebody else to open the door and say, this is somebody that I trust and you can trust them too.
Yeah. You don't want to find that you don't want to learn for what's the word? You don't want to pay to yeah, people don't like yeah, I think yeah. The phrase is people prefer to, to get other people to be the guinea pigs, and say, oh yeah, they tested it worked for them. Yeah, I say, okay, yeah, I should get it rather than, me spending my own hard-earned dollars, my own time to figure out that all this stuff is terrible.
Well, there's just no trust, right? If we meet somebody online, if somebody online, a stranger approaches us, we're naturally skeptical. But human beings, 90% of humans trust recommendations from others. So if someone that you know says, hey, you should connect with this person or this company, they do a really great job. You should go check out this restaurant. It's amazing. You should try this product. It's made a difference in my life, and I think it'll help you too. Then you're like, oh, okay, well, if so-and-so said it's good, I'm willing to try it.
Yeah. No like and trust. Well, apart from business, it's basically how almost everything, both sales and all that, it's recommendation, right? And the keyword endorse, right? Because most persons most persons that are out there that are offering services are doing what they do. People could recommend them, but people would not endorse them, right? Because endorsing is basically saying, I know this guy. I'm putting my reputation on the line and I'm stamping it, right? And if anything goes wrong, you can hold me responsible. And nah. Most persons out there, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. You only do that
Yeah.
if you really believe in that person or that product. And that's why endorsements are so powerful. I have somebody that reached out to me today and they've got a new book coming out and they want me to write an endorsement
Yeah.
for their book. So I know the man and he's fantastic. He's somebody that I really trust and respect and admire, but I still have to read his book
Yeah.
before I'm going to
Put your
give
stamp.
my
Yeah.
endorsement for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why endorsement is so powerful, because somebody is transferring the trust that they have in that relationship to somebody else.
Yeah. Because you don't want a situation where they're like, oh, this book is, I don't know, I'm not saying the book is terrible, but they're like, oh, this book, I can't believe this Brandon recommended this book. That guy is, I used to like him before, but nah.
Yeah, it's kind of like movies sometimes. My wife and I just watched Happy Gilmore 2,
Yeah.
and that movie was awful. Don't recommend it to anybody. The only reason you're going to laugh is because it's so bad. But if you look on the ratings and reviews, it's got great ratings. Like all these people have said what a great movie it is. I'm like, you're lying. You're straight up lying. That movie's awful.
Oh wow! I feel like
Sorry, Adam
no,
Sandler.
I feel like there is a point where if you have comedy movies and if you don't know what you are doing, try not to be average, right? You can either be a very
Yeah,
good comedy movie or it can be a very terrible comedy movie that just watching the movie
right.
will make people laugh and say, "Wow, how come somebody would make up this stuff? Who wrote that stuff? This stuff is it's so stupid that it makes you laugh." Yeah, that's the that's the word. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
it is.
and the same thing, not just um asking and all that, right? I feel like most of the times, right? People, the whole world is built on trust. Everything we do is built on
Amen.
trust, right? The reason why
That's right.
sometimes I see myself walking on the street and I'm like, I trust that the driver would, they would drive well on the street and not just run me over.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, right. Even though I
Right.
don't know those drivers, but like, there's this, this trust, right? And the money we use. We booked this meeting and I'm here, I'm seated and you showed up because like, yeah, the guy is going to show up, even though we don't, we've never met before, and it's everything. And so when I see people do things intentionally to, you know, you know, to what's the word now, to throw away the trust and all those things that people have, I'm like, it's great. I'm sad, really, really sad.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, in this new age of AI, trust is more important than ever. I actually believe that we're coming back to this, right? Unity through community.
Yeah.
We focus on neighborhoods, and what we want to do is help neighbors know each other and actually live in an HOA they love. So that's the mission that we're on. If
What's
you look at the
what's
word
what's
community,
HOA? I've been meaning to ask you.
yeah. So in the US, HOA means Home Owner
Oh, okay.
Association. It's like a little government for the
Yeah.
neighborhood where volunteers, everyone agrees to be bound by certain rules, where we're all going to paint our homes agreed upon colors and keep our lawns manicured and make it look like a nice community. So over half of all homes in the US are in HOAs. And so we are all about unity through community. And if you look at this word community, it means to come together as one.
Mm.
And you can't have community without the word unity. It's in the word. And so, that's what we're passionate about, is helping neighbors get to know each other, helping them live and contribute to the community. And at my church, they say you're as connected as you want to be.
Mm.
Sometimes people just go in the buildings and do their praise and worship and then leave. Other people serve and volunteer, and they're a part of the church community, and they get to know other people within the church. So, it's really up to you as to how connected you want to be, whether that's at church, in your job, in your social life. But I believe that relationships are the new equity. Like that's where in the future, it's really going to come down where people want to belong again. We want to feel connected to others. We want to feel part of something. And for us, we're doing that through community.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you talked about trust, what was just running through my head was that most of the times the reason why people don't even ask in the first place is because they don't even trust that if they don't trust that the person they're asking can deliver on the settings on the request. An example could be, I've had situation where you see people and they're struggling with certain problem, right? And they don't talk about it. And they're just in the gathering of the church, and and somebody just asks them like, "Oh, how you doing? How's everything going with let's say your studies?" And they're like, "Oh, well, and then you just like say it not because they want somebody to help them, but because someone asked them a question, they have to respond. And little for them, little did they know that the person who was in the church community is actually, let's say, a professor, or someone depending that literally can actually help them with that problem, and they did not even know, and they're like, oh. So sometimes we should just learn to ask, even though we feel like, I mean, this person we're asking this thing, there's no way they can they can help me with this.
Yeah, the thing about asking for help with certain things, sometimes we feel uncomfortable because we don't want to seem vulnerable, right? We always want to see strong and tough, like we know everything. But sometimes we need to ask for help. We need to ask for advice. We need to ask for wisdom. And when you do that, it's actually a gift. You're allowing the other person to make a difference in their lives. And we feel fulfilled when we make a difference to someone else. And so asking can actually be a gift for the other person. And if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah, if you don't ask, answer is always no. Wow, thank you so much for this reminder. And that's our idea of writing 101 goal. I might even make it 10 times. I've taken the idea. It's not that I will definitely take it. I've taken it with or without your permissions. Yeah, I'm going to adopt it.
Please.
Thank you so much,
My gift.
Brando.
I give it.
And thanks to Mark and
It's my
to
pleasure.
Victor, yeah, for that idea. Where can people learn more about? You've mentioned the referral framework and the Raven referral and all so many other things you talked about and some of the amazing things you're doing. Where can people learn more about those things and also connect with you?
Yeah, you can find out more about me and connect with me at brandonbarnum.com. So it's just my first and last name.com. There you'll find out about raving referrals. There's a link to hoa.com and some of the other projects I'm involved in.
Yeah, okay. And I just feel like I should add that please don't go messaging him on LinkedIn to buy your stuff. I mean,
You can do it. I don't mind. I accept interesting connection
no,
requests. But when
not
people
connection
start off
request.
by a pitch slapping me, I just don't reply.
And he's like, yeah, yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that word, pitch slap.
Here's the thing. Find out what people are passionate about. Find out what they're out to achieve and then help them do it. And then you've earned the right to be in a relationship. So rather than just offering your stuff from the get-go, find out what they're really about and how you can make a difference in their world.
Yeah. Another thing to add to my
Be
collection.
interested instead of interesting,
Be
right?
interested. Yeah. How can I help? What can I do to help them rather than, oh, how can I take some of his dollars and, pocket it as my own? Wow, thank you so much. This has been such an absolute delight, chatting with you and, just hearing some of the stories and advice you have to share.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having a conversation about wisdom.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.